our next act, Paul Duncan McGarrity!
I am definitely using this microphone. It is fucking cool. Hello everyone, I am not using that microphone, turns out I'm quite loud. No, I am one of the 3 archaeologists on the bill tonight. Do we have some archaeologists in the room, I understand? Putting your hands up in a room that is pretty dark. I have bright lights pointing in my eyes. Could I hear a cheer from the archaeologists? That is not what you get anywhere else in the country. It's a rare and beautiful thing to be able to do that. But your MC there, you seemed horrified to have broken 1 skull. Fucking amateur. I worked on a site where someone found a plague pit by falling into it. It was at the Crossrail site, and it was, there's a lady, there isn't a lady. Yeah. So the archaeologists say, some of you just graduated? I mean, whoa. No, I've been a commercial archaeologist for about 9 years. It means I work on a lot of building sites, and I don't know if anyone knows this about UK archaeology. It's paid for by the developer, right? If they think they're going to find archaeology, they have to pay for us to be there. It means that when we turn up, we're not very welcome, so their eyes are always like, fuck off! But their mouths are like, fuck off! Yeah. So in 9 years of doing archaeology, I've learned something. The general public does not know what archaeologists do. Generally, you get asked a lot of very odd questions. My personal favourite one, you get this one surprisingly a lot. You'll be at a house party, you'll introduce yourself, say what you do, and they go, oh my God! What buildings have you designed? I said that in a gig a couple of months ago, and a man's head dropped and went, oh, are you an archaeologist? He went, nope, I'm an architect, we get the opposite. Good, swings and roundabouts, lovely stuff. My favourite one is, have you ever found a dinosaur? No, fuck off, that's a paleontologist. Right, except that I can't technically say no anymore because I did find a dinosaur. But it doesn't count because it was in a shed, right? Now, let me explain what happens. It turns out during World War II, the British Museum, they kept the natural history collection there. And it got bombed, and one of them was in a shed, and it was... So we're digging through the rubble, and we're finding all of these fossils, like, oh, fuck. We can't tell idiots we've never found a dinosaur anymore. Very upsetting. So we called in a paleontologist to have a look at it. And he looks at the fossil and goes, actually, this is a plesiosaur. You need an ichthyologist. I'm like, oh shit, we've done the same to him. Has anyone ever had to work on a building site? Anyone worked on a building site before? Give us a cheer. Yeah, a couple of you have. Oh, fantastic. Have you had to go through the health and safety videos that they have on them? Have you had to do any of those?
Not in the UK.
Not in the UK. Oh, right. Right. Anyone who's going to go and work on a building site in Oxford, probably 100% of you. Right? It is a fucking highlight of working on a building site, because no matter... Every one of these health and safety videos, no matter who's produced it, no matter what site I'm on, they all seem to contain the same hapless Geordie fella who's had an accident, and he's had weird accidents as well. He's like, I was walking across some gravel and my knees exploded. I mean, why are they still employing him? He's a professional liability. It is a different accident on every fucking site, and they're weird. Some of them are weird. Like, you think you know what they're happening. You're like, I was walking under a ladder. Something's going to fall on him. Good. I'm ahead of the... I was walking under a ladder, and an eagle took our eyes. That is a surprise, yeah. But it's interesting. History and all that sort of stuff. The thing you learn very quickly as an archaeologist is the number of times people don't... how history is sort of like one story that people try and sell you on things. My favourite example of this is William Shakespeare, right? We're in Shakespeare 400. If I say Shakespeare to this room, one word, gut reaction, just shout out one thing that Shakespeare means to you. Anyone?
Passion.
What was that? Passion, a lovely one, right? Better than one Dutch lady I had where she went, overrated. So I said Brexit now, and I think it's my fault. So passion. Anyone else? My favourite one was from a stag do. A stag do came to see me do comedy. What about Ask an Archaeologist, the name of the show I was doing, made them think, yes, that's for us. Turns out it was a stag do for an archaeologist. And they had the most middle-class time, right? They were like, we've been up all night playing board games. And then we thought we'd come to you, right? And he's told us loads of stuff about archaeology. We thought, if you're telling us something different, we're just going to undermine him forever. It's like, it's not quite tying him to a lamppost and leaving him nude, is it? Just, yeah, we're going to get off our tits on coffee, and then we're going to undermine all of his opinions on Neolithic pottery. Laugh. So, anyone else? Anything else for Shakespeare? GCSE, you've had to do it at school. Right, that's kind of... Would anyone use the word shagger? Would anyone use the word lad for William Shakespeare? No, because it doesn't tend to fit into our narrative of him. It's sort of like the national treasure. Well, let me tell you a story. Okay, this was written in 1602. It's at the same time he's alive at a contemporary account, but it may be apocryphal. But they're writing this stuff about him. He's working in a performance of Richard III with Richard Burbage. And Burbage is one of the greatest performers of the period, right? And you know that he is knocking this performance out of the park. Because there's a lady in the audience who's like, I really want to have sex with you. That's my sexy lady voice, by the way. Keeping account. I really want to have sex. I want to take off all my dresses. I'm wearing 4 of them. It'll take ages. And so she's like, yeah, she fancies Burbage. There's a catch for Burbage. She only fancies him when he's playing Richard III, right? Weird, isn't it? That's like only fancying Keanu Reeves when he's... No, that doesn't work, he only plays himself. I know, take that, you handsome rich bastards. Weird. But Burbage is like, pretend to be someone else for sex. I'm an actor, that's pretty much what I do, right? So he says, yes, but William Shakespeare overhears it. He gets there to the woman beforehand, right? And he woos his way into the room. And has sex with her. And then he waits. And he waits until Burbage arrives. And as instructed, he knocks on the door and shouts through, Richard III approaches. To which he hears back through the door, William the Conqueror precedes you. Right, first of all, that is a chronologically accurate joke. He's come up with that on the day. It turns out he's a good writer. But the thing that gets me is, at what point did he think of that joke? Is he like going, I'm going to have to shag her for the punchline? Or is he like halfway through and then he finishes and she's just like, are you not going to go before your mate gets here? And he's like, no. I'll get it! There's really lovely examples in history of things not going the way that people expect them to. Like Richard III is a good example. You all know about Richard III? The king that was dug up underneath a car park? Well, let me tell you something about that dig. I didn't do it. And I wish people would stop asking me if I did. There's more than 6 of us in a different hat. What I did get to do was I got to read the autopsy report of Richard III. Now, would anyone like to hear how the last king of England killed at a battlefield but died? Anyone want to hear that? Yes. I mean, this is the room to get a reaction. And it was 20%. Anyone want to hear that? Yes! Oh, it makes me feel like I'm in the right place. Right, so all of his injuries seem to be to his head. He's wearing plate mail, and it's predominantly from one individual, okay? And just because I need to move around. Can anyone hear me in the back? Fuck me, I am loud. Right, so all of his injuries are to his head from one individual. The first one is a sword blow. Bang! Down the side of his head. Takes off a little bit of the scalp and a little bit of the skull, but not enough to kill the king. His assailant presses forward, slashing again with the sword. Bang! Down the other side of the head. Again, taking off a little bit of the scalp and a little bit of the skull. Not a killing blow again. His assailant presses his advantage, stabbing down into the king's head, cracking the skull but not piercing the brain. Again, not a killing blow. At this point, the king would have fallen. And the coup de grace comes. The last king of England killed on a battlefield is ended with a single spear point from the bottom of the jaw through to the top of the skull. And all I could think when I was reading that report was,
that spear come from? Because basically, someone's just had an epic battle with the last king. They're like, people will write poetry of what I do this day. And in the last minute, someone's gone, I'm helping! What the fuck are you doing, Steve? I killed the king! Will you stop stealing my kills, Steve? I will never level up at this rate. Nerd. Good. Oh, Paul, you do jokes about history and computer games. Where's the crossover? That guy!
He isn't even my favourite battlefield death, which is an odd thing to say, really, isn't it? My favourite is a Viking bastard, right? Yeah, I've got time for this. Fuck yeah. Anyone else feel like I just feel like I should be crooning at you. Just only the lonely. Well, that wasn't what I expected to come out of my face. Just, turns out I'm good at that. Career change! Woo! You beautiful, magical microphone. No, my favourite man, he's a Viking fella. He's in the Jorvik Visitor Centre. You can go and see him. And Vikings are another interesting group of people that the general public think they know stuff about them, but it's wrong. It's wrong. Like, the general public think they know two things about Vikings. That they came here and took our women, and what's the other one? What's the other one that they think they know about it? Everyone's doing the horned helmets thing. Yes, exactly. Good, right? Exactly. That is propaganda. It comes from the monks at the time they were drawing them as sort of demons. You know, it was basically, we've only ever found one horned helmet in the archaeological record. And if you only find one of them, what's to say that that guy wasn't the equivalent of the fellow who turns up to the office in June wearing a Christmas tie? I'm a character! You're a bellend. So no, Vikings, so they came here, they took our women, and they wore horned helmets. What the general public think they know, right? I have issues with that. First of all, I don't know if that many women were taken, right? Because, let me put it this way. If you come from a country where the life expectancy is 23 and they treat women at best as a conversation piece, and most people look like Mr. Bean, and then Thor from the Avengers turns up, you're going to be like, oh no, I'm being taken. At which point the fellas are over here going, oh, will you at least pretend they're not even off the boat yet? No, sorry, I can't. Say bye to the kids. And that's it, you see, because we say that history is written by the victors, but it sometimes isn't. Like in that example, for example, the victors are far too busy banging your wife on a mountain of gold to write anything down, right? And at that point, history is written by the people who left out, the dweebs who are left behind, and that's when they start writing, like, Andy had a stupid hat. And that's how history works. But no, my favourite battlefield victim, he's in the Viking Centre. He seems to have been an early adopter of technology. He's an interesting fella, right? He seems to be, he was killed around at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, northeast of England, and he seemed to have been carrying one of those kite shields. You know, on the Bayeux Tapestry, the ones that taper like that? Those were new technology for the time that he died. The idea was that you would sit on a horse, and the shield would protect your entire leg and the side of your body. This guy seems to have been able to afford the shield, but not the horse. So he's walked into battle with his brand new shield on, just going, oh, what's a lovely day out, right? Just with me helmet. No, he's wearing this in front of him like this, and it's got a tapered front in his body. And basically someone with a spear has just gone, and stabbed him on either side of it. Which means his final battlefield was him just going, stop it, no, ow, behave. Right, they found him in the northeast of England. It is such a hapless death that every time I see him, all I can think is, I was walking across a battlefield with the inappropriate equipment, and now my penis is a rudimentary sprinkler. You've been a fucking delight. I've been Paul Duncan McGarrity, at Paul Duncan McG.